Hey neighbor, it's October. We finally got a little rain, but today we're going to be talking about greens and what makes them so doggone good to eat when the cold weather hits them. Welcome to the Row by Row Gardening Show, the best dadgum gardening show on the internet, where we talk about gardening, a little bit of cooking, and growing your own food. Now sit back and enjoy. We've been really dry, but we got a little rain and the cool weather has moved in.
Nice this morning and last night.
Yeah, we sit outside and the cool wind hits you and you think, man, I've been waiting all year for this.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yep. All right, folks, we're going to be talking about greens, cold hardiness of the greens, and what you can expect out of different ones, how to kind of manage them during the winter time. But I want to show y'all this Alabama blue collard. I hope y'all can see that color in there. Is that not absolutely
Is that white flies
beautiful?
coming off of it?
No, that's just it's just some bugs. But look at them right there. See that pretty purple stem there? And it has the purple veins in it. This is the one we've been eating. And we've been eating them pretty regular. Absolutely delicious. One of my new favorite collards. It has got a very good taste to it. I can't tell a lot of difference in it. And
It's not as strong.
yeah.
That collard strong taste, it's not as strong.
And we don't let ours get real old anyway, but they're not as strong. And they have one bad trait to me. They bolt early than most varieties I've seen. But their uniqueness of that right there, the Alabama blue collard, man, it's just beautiful right there.
It doesn't take much to make a mess.
Nice thick leaf.
Yeah.
We hadn't had any worm problems this year. These have not been sprayed the first time, and there's no worms on it. Knock on wood, because normally we have a little bit of a worm problem.
Now when I cook them, can I take the thing
Sure.
out? I always take the stem out of it.
No, you don't take it all out, just most of
No,
it.
just the main thick. I don't like to cook that. I'll wash them. I'll cut them up, put them in some bacon grease, and not really fry them, but wilt them in the bacon grease. I don't add any extra water. And then I'll put them in a pot with some pork chops or fat back or neck bone and let them cook a little bit.
Oxtail would be good. Yep. All right, I'm going to show this right here. These are two plugs I got here. I just planted some collards yesterday and this morning, so I'm in collard planting mode. We've got collards that we're eating on, but I planted another plant so we could have them all the way in the springtime. This right here, folks, is your Georgia cabbage. Your Georgia Southern collard. Some people call them cabbage collards, but I don't. It's Georgia Southern collard. That one right there, and this is your Alabama blue collard, and you can tell the difference in the leaf. Now, this is the first year we have offered the Georgia Southern collard, and the demand for these right here are way more than any other collard I've ever seen. This is an older variety. I'm not going to tell you it's an heirloom because I think it's probably just an open pollinated type. In the past, we have sold the top bunch variety of collards, which, in my opinion, is a superior variety.
Wow.
For the market farmer or the commercial grower, because it lends itself well to the little short bunches that they grow nowadays. And the top bunch is ideal for that. And those bunches are about this big. You see them in the grocery store, and they're cut younger. And those were bred for that particular market. Now, us older people that's been growing collards a while, we crop, just like I did this right here. We'll go out there and crop us some leaves off because collards we'll put back on. And
From the bottom.
From the bottom, or either I'll get them on up toward the top sometimes. You just got to leave some leaf on them. This Georgia Southern, that's where it comes in. It's known as the old stalk collards. You crop them and they'll end up making a stalk, and they'll get up dang near waist high.
Look like a tree.
Like a tree sort of, kind of, yeah. Now, the Alabama blue, we have not cropped it as intensely as I've seen these Georgia Southerns done. So I don't know if they lend itself that well to a stalk collard. We grow just as a big leaf collard there, and I just keep some planted so we have some going all year long. You definitely want to have some of these around Thanksgiving and Christmas. But anytime the weather starts turning a little bit cooler, man, these greens
What does that
are nice.
do?
Well, As we get into cold weather, we have to understand that greens love cold weather, and we love our greens, but they taste a little bit different as we get into cold weather than they do in hot weather. Believe it or not, you can buy greens in the store just about 12 months out of the year, but they taste different in cold weather. And
It's a sweetness.
it's a sweetness. What happens is, and this is any of the greens, whether it be mustard, turnips, collards, whatever. I think it's probably more noticeable in collards than it is anything else. But as the cold weather or the frost hits this plant has got a mechanism inside of it that says, okay, cold weather is here, and I need to be prepared myself for what's coming. So the carbohydrates or the starches in this leaf here start converting to sugar every time it hits the frost or it gets down near or below freezing. And it converts more of those sugars, those carbohydrates or starches into sugars. And the reason is that leaf is more cold tolerant with the higher amount of sugars in the leaf there. So they won't burn or die as bad. So the more cold it hits this plant here, the more it's going to convert to sugars, and the sweeter these greens are going to be. Now that's up to a certain point. When we get down below damaging cold, say 10 degrees, we're going to get some damage at that point, and it's a mute effect.
I've had two people comment on our YouTube channel that their granny would take these and put them in the freezer before she cooked them to try to create that effect. Two people said that.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. I don't know if it'd work or not.
I thought about doing it, but I had never.
Well, we don't have a need to do it, I reckon.
Well, I wanted to see the difference.
If they're much better than what you've been cooking, I don't know how they can get any better
But
than me.
yeah, I guess they just lay them in the freezer and let them get cold. I don't know how long they leave them in there.
Yeah, that's
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, you would think the plant's got to be alive to convert from carbohydrates to sugars, or from starches to sugars, you think. Good point. Anybody knows that answer to that, let us know. But collards are one of our favorite things to eat around here. We love them. And ever since we found this Alabama blue, and I didn't get this Alabama blue from Alabama. I got it out of Tallahassee, Florida. Turkey Hill Farms has been growing it for years, and they was gracious enough to share some seeds with us, and that's the way we got our seed crop, is from Turkey Hill down there. They love it, and she turned me on to it. But Georgia Southern Collard is the best-selling collard, period, out there. And I guess the reason is just name recognition. But I give the Alabama Blue a try. Now, I will tell you this, as I mentioned earlier, the Georgia Southern does not bolt near as quick and easy as that Alabama Blue does, in my experience. So that's the only downside. It will bolt a little bit quicker. That's not a big deal for us because we grow them pretty quick.
And collards grow well here for us, so we can keep a succession plant going
All winter long.
all winter long.
Yeah.
What's
Now,
that?
the good thing about this right here is you can save your seeds. These things will seed out. These Alabama Blues will seed out. I grew a seed crop last year. They'll seed out like crazy. Just let them bloom and let them seed out, and you can save your own seeds from these right here very easily.
What's the cold tolerance of collards?
Well, glad you asked. Cold collard is probably down, I'm going to say the book says 20 degrees. I'm going to say it's down between 15 and 20 degrees. Now, that being said, there's some things you can do on all these greens here to help them become more cold tolerant. So, of course, you want a nice, healthy plant. You don't want a plant that's stressing, because if your plant is stressing and the cold weather moves in, you're going to get more damage than you would from a healthy plant. Also, you want it well fed, and you want it to have plenty of moisture. Anytime that we see a plant that is drought stressed or stressed from not enough water, the cold weather does way more damage than it does to a plant that's got ample amount of water to it, because all that water in that leaf actually helps it handle the cold weather versus being stressed from not having enough in there. So that's one thing you can do to make sure you got a good healthy plant. So collards, 15 to 18 to 20 degrees. I think 15 would be pushing it. Another thing too is, if we talk about these temperatures today, we're giving you just an overview of what they'll take it down to, but a lot of it depends upon the wind and how long it stays that temperature.
Right.
So
And the size of the plant. If it's a little small plant, it's not going to do as well as the bigger plants in the harsh temperatures.
and that's the reason I planted these plugs yesterday afternoon for the most part. I had to replace a couple today, but I planted mine yesterday afternoon, and the reason is I want to get these things established before next month. I got probably about 30 days before we get some hard cold weather, and I think I can get them established so they'll be able to take the cold after that. So I think you'll be fine if you plant plants at this point where we live, here in Zone 9A.
And you talked about the soil moisture.
Yeah, soil moisture. Make sure you don't stress that plant from soil moisture. So if it gets down to 18 degrees and it doesn't stay very long and bounce back, these things will take it maybe down to 15 degrees. But if it gets down to 18 degrees and stays it for several hours, you're going to get more damage. So it's very important how long it stays in that lowest temperature there as we go through these ranges here. All right, let's talk about kale. Several different kind of kales out there.
Kale's a little more cold hardy.
Kale's a little, yeah, it can. It is. It's one of the most, it's not the most cold hardiest, but it's one of the most cold hardiest. And you know, kale is loaded with antioxidants, and they call it the superfood. So if you like kale's definitely a good option to grow. It'll take plenty of cold. Down 15 to maybe 12 or 13 degrees.
Yeah.
You get a nice plant.
When we had our snow and that really cold snap for about a week, our kale did.
Better than other things.
Yeah.
Mustard greens, for the most part, around 20, 25 degrees on mustard greens.
They're a little more tender.
They're a little more tender. And what you'll find about them is you'll get burned around what we call the margins. You'll see the burn, the freeze burn around the margins there. And makes them really good when the cold weather hits them. But they're not as cold hardy as some of the other things. Of course, Florida broadleaf is the most common mustard they are out there, and that's the one I've got the most experience growing in cold weather. Turnip greens, 20-ish degrees, somewhere in there. If you're growing turnip greens for the roots, man, you could just save them until they get down into probably the...
So if the roots freeze, it won't hurt them?
Very seldom does the roots, yeah, it'll hurt them, but very seldom in our neck of the woods does the ground freeze. So the ground's got to freeze because the roots are underneath there. So they hold up really good, especially if you're just growing them for the roots. And you can, I dare say, probably 10 degrees just for the roots. Now the tops, probably about 20 degrees on those. Spinach is one of the most cold, hardest greens that we have out there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, spinach will take it on down at least to 15 degrees, probably a little colder than that. And when we get through with all this right here, we're going to give you a couple of tips on how you can make them survive. Maybe if you even get just a little bit colder, there's a couple of things you can do. But for the most part, spinach takes it really good. Spinach is easy to grow. I got some planted now in a raised bed. So I'm looking forward to partaking on those. I like my spinach stir-fried. How do you like it the best?
Just wilted. Just a little bit.
Has a little different flavor to it, but I love spinach. All right, lettuce, around 25 degrees on lettuce. Same thing with lettuce, you'll start getting some marginal burns on lettuce. Some of the lettuces varieties are a little more cold tolerant than others, but normally about 20, 25 degrees on their lettuces. Swiss chard. Now the book says 20, 25 degrees on Swiss chard. I take issue with that.
You do?
I do. I think Swiss chard is probably along there with spinach. It's probably the two
You would think
most
it's
cold,
yeah.
hardest greens that we have is spinach and Swiss chard.
We'll have to see. I've got some Swiss chard, although it's the non-edible type. We'll see,
Yeah.
see how it does.
So Bright Lights is the most popular Swiss chard out there, and this one has the different color ones mixed in together. The yellow.
We never grow much of that.
I've grown it in the past. I'm just not real.
You reckon we hadn't cooked it right?
I don't know, but I'm not real fond of it. I didn't never grow it coming up. I mean, grow it or eat it coming up
I didn't
till
either.
later in life, and it just hadn't. It's pretty, but just hadn't found my way of
Into our
eating
kitchen.
it. I'd much rather eat me some collard greens than I had some Swiss chard. But it is very cold tolerant, and I tell you this: it's one of the easiest greens to grow is Swiss chard. So Swiss chard, spinach, I'm gonna say down in the lower teens on those. Arugula. That's the one that's got a little spicy lot that we like in our salads. Down to about 20 degrees on arugula. It'll take a pretty good bit of cold. So the planting window for North Georgia, and when I say North Georgia, you kind of draw your line there. If you're in northern Texas, you're going to be in kind of the same zone as North Georgia. Late August up to mid-November, you can plant these, especially if you're using transplants. Now, if you're doing some direct seeding, that can get a little late on you there. But if you're doing plugs like what we're offering, you can get these in the ground, fertilize them well, and get them established a little bit before we get that cold weather in there, and most times they'll be okay. Here in South Georgia, man, we about plant them, grow them. As long as you get them established before that, we have a hard freeze come in, you'll do fine.
You have transplants. Do you ever direct seed them?
I don't collards. I do mustard. I do turnips. I do spinach. But everything else, let's see, turnip greens, mustard, spinach, I direct seed. Everything else I probably transplant. Cabbage, we didn't talk about cabbage. Cabbage can get down, and I'm gonna say in between 15 to 18 degrees. And there again, it's depending on how long it stays there.
Yeah, if that head freezes,
It'll bust.
Yeah.
And that's where you run into problems with that. All right, so how can you protect these plants when it does get real cold, or our friends way up north when it gets really cold? You can use a frost cover that works extremely well on these plants here, and you'd be surprised how much difference it will make. These things are woven. We sell one, but you can buy them anywhere. They're woven. We like to fold them back up. We got several we use in our garden shed. We just pull up and we use it when we need it. You can use the pins to kind of push it down, or you can put dirt on the edge. Now here's the thing with frost covers. Most time when you need to use them, we got a storm coming in, it gets a little windy, so you got to make sure you secure them well. But it makes a huge difference on protecting these things, just like what a blanket would. Now the problem with getting one of the heavy blankets out of your house is it's going to get a little too heavy and hurt the plant, kind of swish it down.
do you have to take the frost covers off once the sun comes out?
No, they're okay. I would take them off once they gets above.
But if you use plastic or...
Oh, I wouldn't use plastic. You can if you're getting it tight. If you use plastic, you need to get off that quick. The sun gets. The great thing about the woven frost covers is you got more leadway time there. You can leave them on there all day long, as long as it's cold. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, once the cold weather moves out, take that frost covering off, let the plant breathe and go again. But it's way better than using plastic. You get in a pinch and you have to use plastic, you better get out there when the sun comes up and get it off from there, because it'll just get way too hot. Succession planting every 2 to 3 weeks, that's what I'm doing with collards, so we got plenty of them. Now, we don't eat as much mustard and turnips as we used to. We seem to we eat more collards than we used to, but back when we first got married, we eat
mustard
and turnips. We go in these phases. We love different type of greens.
Right now, I love to roast the turnip roots.
Yeah, those are good with beets and things like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of beets, I hope you can eat those beet leaves as well. So, all right, fertilization on greens is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. They don't fertilize them enough. They
heavy feeders?
The heavy feeders. When you start getting that yellowing on your plants, on your leaves, and you start getting those spots on there, a lot of times that's caused because that plant's not growing fast enough, and it's from nutritional deficiencies. So they love good fertilizer. Now, I love using our complete organic, but manure work, if you got cow manure, you got something like that on your farm or in your homestead, and you can use rabbit manure, any of those work wonderful. Chicken manure works good, just be a little careful with it and not overdo it. I love to use that as a pre-plant, and then you could come back and hit them with some nitrogen after they get up and growing good. Some 10-10-10 all-in-one's not a bad option there, but I like to use that organic matter-based fertilizer to get them up and started. It's got such a long release on there, the plants just respond so well to it.
Did you know if you over-fertilize it, it can cause them to be bitter too?
Yep, when we over-fertilize our plants, it can cause several different problems. It also causes some health problems if we over-fertilize them, we go out there and cut them and eat them. So with your fertility on this right here, you don't want to hit them. Just say you needed to hit them with a nitrogen. You use calcium nitrate, which would be a good one. You want to probably wait a good 10 days after that calcium nitrate has been activated to harvest and eat that plant. I wouldn't put it on there and let it take it up and then harvest immediately, because it can cause some tummy issues there.
Do it to drip or?
Either way, side dress or drip, either one. I actually got my collards on drip. It's worked out really good this year, but either way. As far as the insect problem goes, you got the same thing that bothers about everybody. But we grow these greens most time in the wintertime. We don't have as much insect problems. Now, really and truly, the biggest problem we ever have in the springtime, I'll get some flea beetles that poke the little holes in there, but worms are our biggest problem. And we hadn't had any this fall, thank goodness.
Okay.
But we will occasionally get the little white moths that start flying around. If you see the white moths, they laying eggs. You're going to have cabbage loopers at some point. That's a sign to go ahead and get started. BT, spinosad, any of those low toxicity type pesticides, organic pesticides, work really good on our greens. We're actually eating those surface where we spray there, so we want to be real careful not to contaminate or poison our leaf too much because we're trying to eat healthy. So any of those neem, BT, spinosad work wonderful on these greens here to control the worms and some of those other pests. Disease control.
Rotate your crops.
Rotate them. We just don't see a lot. If you just rotate them and fertilize them well.
Clean up debris from the previous year.
Yep. And you can plant those trap crops we talked about before. You could plant you some Chinese cabbage close by, and those worms and those flea beetles are going to go to that Chinese cabbage before they will your collards. I can promise you that. So that would be a good one if you want to do that. It's a good thing to do.
Slugs, you can put the little thing of beer out
or
there.
we have a Sluggo product, which is iron phosphate. I think works good. You sprinkle it around the plant, and that works good. Good, safe product. So most times, if you got a slug problem, you got too much leaf or organic matter and too much wetness there on top.
Yeah, make sure you water in the morning. Don't water at night. I'm bad about this.
Yep.
I like to get out there and water at night. That can cause issues, it being wet overnight.
Yeah, crop those bottom leaves off that's touching the ground because they're going to get diseased up and cause some insect problems, maybe some slug problems. So kind of keep them off the ground, and that'll help you as well. Greens. Gotta have your greens around Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's that time of year when we enjoy that big pot of just collard greens with some fat back in there.
And I see so many influencers on Instagram, the book, the tube, taking greens every morning in a powdered form.
Oh, yeah. So there's this company called Athletic Greens that powder these things, and they sell a lot of that, and people use it as a supplement.
Yeah. Which I thought about doing some in my freeze dryer.
And crushing them up.
And crushing them up and put them in little capsules. And so when we don't have greens, we can take our greens.
Take our greens. Yep. All right, so the garden spotlight this week is roselle. And our roselle is coming in like crazy too. We've been at our harvesting. Look at there. So let's get to my page here.
Shanon Burke, Grand Island, Florida, Zone 9B. She planted St. Kitts roselle, probably too close together. That's a common thing. We do that too. But they're beautiful, tall, and blooming. I've started harvesting.
If you plant them too close together, don't feel like the Lone Ranger. We do it every single year. You really need about 4 to 6 feet in between them, but it's hard to do that when they're small. Yeah.
Ours has fallen over, so I've just been cutting them and then harvest them and thinning as I go so I can get to the next row.
We've got a 30 by 30 plot of roselle, and I can promise you it's more than what we could use.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've already harvested more than we'll use next year.
If you're not growing St. Kitts variety, I definitely recommend it. It's going to make pretty much regardless where you live. It's a shorter maturing variety, so they'll make. Some of these older varieties will not make it in time before the cold weather wipes them out. So the St.
And talk
Kitts,
about saving your seed. So if you want to save some for seed, don't harvest those. Leave them on the plant until that calyx completely dries up.
and what you're going to notice inside of that calyx is a round, that's the seed pod. Leave it on there and it's going to dry out and it's going to start cracking. You're going to see those black seeds inside. That's when you want to go out and get them. When you can see, when they crack open, see those black seeds.
Speaking from experience, you do not harvest them and let the seeds turn and then try to plant them.
Nope. But you want to harvest them when they're mature. All right, so the bobblehead this week, folks, on the site here somewhere is the Hoss bobblehead. And if you find him, put in the comments below. Last week's winner, we're going to draw for today, and it is Donna Shapiro.
Her name sounds familiar.
Yep, Donna, send us your shipping address too.
support@growhouse.com.
And Donna will send you the highly coveted Get Dirty socks. Look at there. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah.
All right,
So let us know what greens you're growing
Yep.
this winter. What kind of problems you may be having with them, and we'll
And if
answer
you've
your
ever put
questions.
them in the freezer before to get them sweet, let us know about that one because that's interesting. So we still got a little bit of garlic left, a little bit of elephant garden, not much. We're sold out of strawberries. Onions is coming next. So our onion crop is looking really great. We got onions coming on.
Our brassicas are finished.
Brassicas are we got a few brassicas left, not many. We got a few.
What about blueberries?
Blueberries and blackberries we'll have them for the next couple of weeks probably. We'll have brassicas and blackberries, blueberries probably for 2 more weeks, and that'll be it. Garlic, get your garlic, your elephant garlic if you haven't, get that in there, and it's going to be onion time. This year we're doing intermediate day and long day onions, so you could go ahead and purchase for our friends up north, you can purchase your intermediate and long day onions.
Pre-order?
Pre-order, and we'll ship them to you this spring. But short day onions, we're going to start probably around the 11th or 12th, shipping those in November. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. Now it's time for you to get outside and get those hands dirty.